Hello, this is Dread from Last Epic Builds, and today's video topic is going to be a video about FoE's Lightning Nova Sorcerer. So this build is mainly built around the interaction between the Ashen Crown unique helmet and Lightning Nova from the Sorcerer tree. So the biggest idea with this build is to stay at range and to pelt people with Ellie Novas. And of course, if you have any single targets that are too tanky, you can always use Lightning Blast to completely destroy them. Lightning Blast was nerfed recently to only have about half as many chains with convergence, but Lightning Blast is just as strong as it used to be, thanks to the Lightning Shred added with the blessings as well. So this build has still remained its rank 1 spot on the Sorcerer leaderboards for multiple patches now. The biggest thing this build utilizes is the channeling version of Ellie Nova. This allows him to run adaptive spell damage while channeling affixes on his gear while not really channeling per se. He kind of like taps the button to clear most packs depending how tanky they are, and if they're a little bit tankier thanks to the more health mod, he can just hold down the button and it will cast 5 Lightning Novas per second, which is pretty insane considering he doesn't have to build much cast speed to make that work. And it allows him to just play a ranged playstyle, pretty much, and nothing really gets ever close to him, and if it does, he can always just Lightning Blast them to death. Other things about this build that's really strong, he's utilizing the Orion's Eye unique amulet as well to reach the 300 max mana so that he gets the 100% increased damage from all the lightning damage if above 300 mana mod idols. He's also utilizing the Orion's Eye to convert all of his void into fire so that he doesn't have to build Void Res, and then the Ashen Crown is converting 80% of physical as fire, which also obviously gets less damage taken thanks to Orion's Eye as well. So he's taking 15% less Fizz, Void, and Fire all at the same time. Absolutely insane. Makes it so he doesn't have to build a Void or Fizz Res on his gear, making it so he can focus on just running endurance. He is no longer running dodge. He used to run dodge back in the day, but thanks to the dodge nerfs and to the changes with endurance, he can actually go endurance and just not get hit. And as long as you stay ranged and make sure you don't take too much damage at once, you can make this go very far in the arena. It's a much more of a skill-based build as well. This is pretty much what the end game of Last Epoch looks like a finished build. So if you're looking for a meta finished build, this is the one for you. Now, to get up to this build, I would heavily suggest playing a different build, as the Ashen Crown is 100% required for this build. This entire build does not work unless if you're running the Ashen Crown, and having an Orion's Eye is absolutely insane for the build so that you don't have to run Void Res on any gear at all. So I would heavily suggest you level with a different build or try a different build until you get an Ashen Crown, until you move to this build. I have included a Lightning Blast Sorcerer guide in the description. It's one of my builds to play until you can get up to this build, as otherwise you will be kind of a sitting duck, as without the Ashen Crown, it kind of makes it so you can't use the Ellie Nova at range, which kind of ruins the whole idea of the build, right? You're supposed to kill things at range and not get it, right? And with that being said, let's get into the skills, shall we? Alright, so for skills, he takes Ellie Nova, Lightning Blast, Teleport, Flame Ward, and Focus. And for Elemental Nova, he takes the 5 points into the Arcana Elementorium, so he gets more Elemental Nova damage, more area as well, so that his area is a bit bigger. Then he takes the Lightning Nova note. He is scaling lightning damage and also has 20% more crit chance, which allows him to crit much easier as well. 5 points into Spark Charges. So Spark Charges are absolutely insane for this build. It allows you to scale Shock and Lightning Pen at the same time, Lightning Shred from the Blessing as well, and it just counts as extra hits. Most most times he can just kind of like wave his Ellie Nova on most packs, and the spark charges will end up killing the enemies, right? Then 5 points into areas. You want as much area as possible with this build so that you can clear as much of the screen as much as you can. 3 points into base critical strike chance, so you're always critting no matter what. And then 1 point into Luminaire so that it turns it into a channel skill. It does reduce the area just a little bit, and the main reason he's using Ashen Crown is so that he doesn't have to use these nodes at all, as you do not want a Fire Nova because you want it to be specifically only lightning so that you get all the benefits of the lightning stuff from the Sorcerer tree. So for instance, if you went Fire or Lightning, right? If you went Fire and Lightning, it would alternate between lightning damage and fire damage, so all of your adaptive spell damage for half of the hits would be useless because he's scaling only lightning damage. Hence why he's going down, hence why he's ignoring this route and using the Ashen Crown instead, which enables this build. Now for Lightning Blast, it's a pretty interesting setup. He runs 2 points into Storm Razor for base critical strike chance and travel, 1 point into Lightning Attunement so that on 5% on cast you get a Lightning Aegis, which gives you all damage as you'll see later on. 2 points into Chain Lightning, and then 1 point into Convergence. Now this node was nerfed a few patches ago. Now it's only half its maximum chain, so if you cast Lightning Bolt on a target, it will chain multiple times on the enemy. This will make it chain once, and then these nodes will make it chain a few more times as well. Absolutely insane as you keep casting on a target. So it does take a little bit of ramping. Then 4 points into Overcharge, so you get the double cast chance and crit multi. So every about 4 attacks, you get a double cast, which is also working with Convergence as well. Then 1 point into Hypercharge, so you get quadruple casts as well. That's about like an eighth of the time when you get a Hypercharge cast, like a quadruple. 1 point into Front Loaded for 25% more damage. 2 points into Crackling Speed for travel to Shatter Shock so that he gets 120% more damage if you chilled and shocked the enemy, which you make sure you have enough chill and shock on your gear, so that's completely fine. Now for Teleport, he runs the resistance version for cold res, so he doesn't have to run much cold res on his gear. He runs the stat buff duration as well, so he only has to cast it every 4 seconds. Also for the 50% increased elemental damage as well, so that you get 50% more damage. Then, of course, he's using all of the Ellie Nova teleport stuff. So while Ellie Nova is channeled, you can still utilize it with teleport. Allows him to clear the screen pretty fast as well. It's insane for monoliths as well because you just teleport through monoliths and clear them. And then for Flame Ward, he takes 2 points travel into Stalwart Defense, 1 point into Desperate Defense, 1 point into Astonish, because sometimes when you get stunned, you don't have a quick enough finger to like tap the button. So this is really strong. It's like cast when damage taken from Path of Exile. 2 points into Fuel the Fames so that you can get to dual Aegis, so you have 2 charges instead of just 1. 5 points into Barrier, so you have less damage taken overall. 3 points into Prismatic Buffer, so you have even less elemental damage taken. Absolutely insane. 3 points into Dilation, so it lasts a little bit longer and has more mana efficiency. Then 1 point into Infusion, so you get 50% increased damage, and then you turn it into Lightning, so you get 50% increased lightning while it is active. So, more damage. Then for Focus, he's running the negative mana version of Focus, meaning you will not use Focus until you're at negative mana most of the time. You're also utilizing the mana from the burst as well. So he takes 4 points from Revelation, 1 point into Energy Infusion for the haste, 4 points into increased mana regen because you want as much regen as possible, 1 point into Desperate Mediation, so you get increased mana regen per missing mana, 1 point into Null Profusion. This adds a lot of cooldown, but it gives you 20% of your max mana while negative. So if you utilize this while you're in negative mana, you instantly gain 20% of your mana. So the kind of strategy is if you're out of mana, you use something to get a little bit below negative, like 1 point below negative, and bam, you get 20% of your max mana instantly, which is absolutely insane. You kind of just abuse that. Then 2 points into Null Infusion, so it goes to 30% instead of just 20%. 1 point into Resolute Stance for travel, 5 points into reduce elemental damage taken while you're focusing so that you don't get killed while you're focusing, then 1 point into Overcharge for just some extra mana. And that's it for the skills. And for the passives here, he grabs 8 points into Elementalist for increased damage, 2 points travel into Arcanist, 5 points into Mage Flurry for the cast speed, 10 points into the crit multi and crit chance, very strong, and 6 points into Elemental Affinity for increased damage, and Res is a very strong node for just 6 points, you get that much. Then for Sorcerer, he takes the 160% spell critical strike chance, 8 points into more spell damage, 5 points into the cast speed, all of the cast speed in the world for your lightning blast, so you scale a lot more damage because of the double cast and the quadruple cast, the more cast speed you get, the more multiplicative you get with damage because you're spamming it. 4 points with on Wisdom here for intelligence and mana for travel. 8 points into Saruna Mancer for shock chance, absolutely insane for this build, and lightning damage. 5 points into Lightning Pen and the lightning damage leech. You don't necessarily need the pen, but the lightning damage leech's life is very strong, so when you're getting hit, you can just leech up your HP instantly. 8 points into Crackling Precision. This is the main reason why we make sure that Ellie Nova is still lightning, because we get double this amount of crit chance if it's lightning, so you want to keep it as lightning. This is the main reason why, so we get 8 points into that. 5 points into Arcane Obliteration for extra crit multi, 2 points into Arcane Insight for just the Insight, which is just 20% increased elemental damage, pretty strong. 5 points into Distant Spark. Spark Nova is pretty much an extra spark from the Ellie Nova tree. It's just like an extra spark, it's just extra damage. 5 points into Arcane Current, increased shock effect. Absolutely amazing for the Sorcerer. That's why we're going Lightning, is to stack shock effect. 5 points into Archmage, which is tripled if you have 200 maximum mana, so we get 15 adaptive spell damage here. 5 points into Spellslinger for the cast speed and the adaptive spell damage, and then 4 points into Recollection for the cooldown recovery speed, which affects your teleport, affects your focus, and affects your flame ward. Absolutely insane sorcerer stuff. And that's it for the passives and mastery. Alright, and now for the gearing here. He is running 4 adorned arcane idols with increased lightning damage while you have lightning aegis, which you proc from lightning blast. So your lightning blast gets a significant amount of damage once you're proccing lightning aegis. Then you get 50% increased lightning damage. It's doubled if you have 300 or more max mana. You make sure he's at more than 300 max mana, so you have 100% lightning damage from here. So each idol is giving you 200% increased lightning damage while lightning aegis is up, which is absolutely insane. One of the main reasons why you're going lightning nova instead of fire nova or something. These idols are absolutely insane for this build. Like I said, there's a lot of budget put into this build. It's a very expensive build. Now, for the helmet, we have the Ashen Crown. This is the most important item on the list because Elemental Nova is now cast at target location, saves you some skill points, and it makes it so that 80% of physical damage is taken as fire. So now, as long as you have max fire res, you can pretty much ignore physical resistance, as you can see here. And Orion's Eye here, it makes it so that 100% of void damage is taken as fire, so you can do the same thing for void damage. And you also take 15% less fire damage taken, so that you actually take 15% less void and physical at the same time, while also taking 15% fire damage. It also helps you reach the cap of mana here as well, so that you get the bonuses from the adorned arcane idols and from the skill tree as well. It's very strong, unique. The build doesn't feel good until you get this, so I'd heavily suggest this. Also gives you a lot of increased duration of stun immunity after being stunned, which is pretty strong. Then for a weapon, you just want increased damage, crit multi, slow, and shock. You already have chill on the tree, so you want the shock here. For the chest, you get adaptive spell damage while channeling, some adaptive damage on the chest as well, lightning critical strike multiplier. So he's running dodge percentage here because he's running a belt with dodge potion, so that when he uses his dodge potion, he gets a decent amount of dodge. So he is using a little bit of dodge. He's also running elemental res on the chest as well, so he doesn't have to run other suffixes. Now for the catalyst, he's running the spell critical strike chance catalyst, which is very strong for this build. Also the intelligence scales your damage on everything else. Critical strike multiplier, spell damage, And Necrotic Res, he's also running dodge rating here as well. The only reason he's running dodge rating is because he can't run endurance. So he's running dodge instead, which will make your potion even stronger for the dodge. For the ring, spell damage, intelligence, endurance, Ellie Res. Same thing with the other ring. This is an endurance build, so if you look at the defenses here, he has at 612 endurance, which is like about 2/3 of his HP. Absolutely insane. That extra 60% damage reduction, also with the damage reduction from the Orion's Eye as well, taken into account as well. Absolutely insane. For the belt, dodge potion, increased lightning damage, and endurance threshold. Endurance. For the last slot here, he would probably be running dodge percentage. He just probably didn't have a good belt because the endurance stuff came this patch, so you'd probably have dodge percentage there. And then for the other ring is the same as the other ring. For gloves, he's going for engraved gauntlets so that he can reach up to max endurance here with the blessing. He's running, the 27% blessing. The intelligence, cast speed, more endurance, and chance to shred armor. I'm unsure about chance to shred armor. I guess it is giving him a more damage multiplier for the shred armor. It's just it was nerfed this patch, so it's half as effective for anything that isn't physical. So I'm assuming it's still worth it. I mean, he is hitting a lot with the lightning blast and the Ellie Nova, so it's probably still worth it. Then for the boots, he's running movement speed, intelligence, critical strike avoidance, and dodge rating because he wants to be critical strike avoidance capped. That's why he's ran Survival of the Might from Reign of Dragons. So he's crit strike avoidance capped. Then for his thing, this was actually buffed. You get critical strike multiplier on your relic now, critical strike multiplier on the prefix, lightning damage, endurance, and necrotic res. And then he's completely res capped. He has no void res or physical res because of the Ashen Crown Orion's Eye combo. Absolutely insane. He gets a little bit more res from the tree, so this is like his finished res as well. He's got a lot of blessings as well. Adorned idol drop rate because your adorned idols are insane for this build. Increased belt drop rate because belts are really strong. Crit multi because you want as much crit multi as humanly possible. Right now he's 338, but like I believe with the tree he's more like 400%. A lot of adaptive spell damage as well. Chance to shred lightning res. This was a huge buff to the build. Huge buff to the build. This stacks with shock. So pretty much every shock you do, it's like pretty much doubled. Absolutely insane. Critical strike avoidance. This was obviously you want critical strike avoidance. This was buffed as well this patch. Now that we have the empowered version, it used to only go to like 50 or something. Now it can go all the way up to 70%. Absolutely insane. Endurance threshold, so he has more endurance threshold, and then endurance percentage. And that's pretty much it for the gearing. And now I'm just going to show you guys some gameplay.